All right. Good morning, everybody. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Good morning. Good start to the day. Fantastic day. Great day. Good weather. Uh, yeah. So obviously, there was a report yesterday that came out where a couple things were said, a couple things were told. We're going to dig into kind of the report itself, and then also talk a little bit about the meaning of the report and maybe where the context of it was taken and twisted to an extent. But before we start, obviously we have to do what we've done every morning, which is do the unfuck yourself daily calendar. Today, people would rather explain their life than intervene with it. Interesting. Interesting. Good way to start your day. All right, so let's hop into it. Also, tomorrow morning, pretty big show tomorrow morning at 8:30. Have someone who breaks down film. This is not somebody on Texans Twitter. This is somebody with a scouting background that is going to be coming on at 8:30 tomorrow morning to talk about the 2023 quarterback class. Talk about each individual prospect, strengths, weaknesses, and kind of what he's seen from the candidates on film in college. Talk to him about what he thinks the Texans should do in with either the second pick or the 12th pick in regards to quarterback. Tomorrow's going to be a really good show, really big show. Also have Brandon Scott next week. For those that aren't familiar, Brandon Scott's probably the dopest dude in Houston when it comes to this stuff. So tomorrow morning, make sure you guys mark your calendar. 10:30 a.m. 8:30 a.m. We're going to have somebody on the show that you guys will recognize, and I'm sure you're familiar with his work. Pretty big deal. So it'll be awesome. Good morning, everybody. Thank you guys. Thanks, Nathan. I appreciate it. I put that one together. Trying to do some things. As you guys can see, the camera quality is much better, which is exactly what I was going for. So shout out to myself for getting that shit right. Working on another intro, some logos and stuff too. But yeah, so appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys tell a friend, make sure you tell them on Twitter, tell a friend through text, whatever it may be. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Make sure you guys have those notifications on. I know that I try to do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but obviously life gets in the way sometimes in the morning, so it makes it a little difficult, but I'll continue to do this. So make sure you guys have the notifications on so you guys can see when I'm live. And we can start to really build this thing up, give you guys some good content, but most importantly, give you guys a different perspective. I think that's really ultimately what it boils down to when it comes to this channel and what we're trying to do. I don't want to reiterate or regurgitate anything that other people are saying, unless obviously it's worthwhile talking about, right? But I want to challenge the thought process of other individuals and want to start to think outside the box. And I think today, that's a really good segue into today and today's show and what we're going to be talking about. So yesterday there was a report. DJ, I don't know his last name. I don't want to. I think it's almost like Bieniemy to an extent. From ESPN, came over and started covering the team in the offseason. Jets fans love him. I liked him at the beginning, but then there were some things that he did in regards to reports and stuff like that I just kind of started to question some of the things that were being put out. And yesterday really kind of doubles down on those things. So, when it comes to that field of work, everything's about generating clicks. Everything is about building engagement and building a following. One really good way to do that is to tell a fan base what a team is going to do it to based on what he's hearing. And no disrespect to DJ whatsoever. He seems to be a really good dude. People that I fuck with in the media really like him and really like him as a person. So, again, no disrespect to him at all. He seems like a really good dude. Not, thinking J. Cole is overrated, probably going to rub me the wrong way. Question anybody's music opinion if that's how you feel about J. Cole. Kind of strange. Obviously I'm joking, but yeah, so yesterday DJ put out a report that on ESPN that the Texans were telling head coaching candidates during the interview process that they were taking a quarterback at 2. Now, could that be true? Absolutely, that could be true. It's most likely true, right? It's most likely true. Am I hoping that that's not the case? I'm not hoping that that's not the case. I just hope that they love the prospect to take the prospect, I guess is what I'm saying. I put a tweet out the other day. I don't really understand the crowd that is like, just grab a quarterback. It doesn't matter. Man, you can't do that. You can't draft any player rounds 1 through 3, maybe even 4, just to fill a positional need, right? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this Texans team. Okay. Their entire team is a need. Outside of left tackle and right tackle, they have a need everywhere. Every single position, there is a glaring hole. You can add talent at any position and your team is better. So for a team like the Texans to go in and zero in on a positional need, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's not the best way for them to move forward with approaching the draft and building the roster. You can never draft based on need. It is just a terrible approach. It doesn't work. But you can have, like, the way that they do it, they have their big board, right? Nick, the scouting team, the head coach, some of the assistant coaches, they all gather around. Even Nick Casario talked about it yesterday on Texans Access, where, they have draft meetings. They start to build their board. Their board has all their players ranked, right? So probably 150 players, 200 players ranked from 1 to 200. Then they go through the draft, and as that board, let's go to 2. One player is taken off. So there's a good chance that number 1 player that they had ranked on their board is gone. Let's say it's Will Anderson in this situation. Well, then at 2, they go to their second ranked player and they grab that guy, right? And so throughout the draft, that's going to be their process. They're going to go off of their scouting. They're going to go off of the data that they've gathered. They're going to go off of the film that they've watched. They're going to do it from, the pro days that they've attended, the combine, the Senior Bowl, any games that they attended in person last year during the college football season. These scouts travel around and they watch these guys live. And so then that's how they draft. They draft based on, where they rank the prospect. So could a quarterback be at 2? Absolutely. Right. Who is the quarterback at 2? I don't know. I don't think anybody actually knows. I think everybody has their own bias towards who it should be, but nobody actually knows. Nobody knows what the Texans are going to do in April, whenever the draft is. It just doesn't make sense for that to be the case. So let's talk about, why would the Texans do this? Why would the Texans tell head coaching candidates that this is what they're doing at 2? They're taking a quarterback. And the answer is they wouldn't. Right? Like, think about it. Like, why would the Texans tell a candidate, hey, guess what, man? Thanks for interviewing for this job. We're taking a quarterback at 2. Not only are we taking a quarterback, we're going to tell you exactly who, or who our top ranked quarterbacks are. That doesn't make any sense. This scouting team and Nick have been working on this draft for, 6-7 months. Why would they tell a candidate that's interviewing with other teams, other quarterback needy teams, that they're going to take a quarterback at 2? They wouldn't. That hurts them. That puts them in that they have no leverage whatsoever when it comes their pick at 2. And it totally impacts how the draft could go. And it logically, it doesn't make any sense for the Texans front office to do that during this interview process. It's a bit strange too. I like, here's what I think happened. I think that they talked to head coach candidates and said, the head coach candidate probably asked a question. Hey, we're looking at the quarterback position. Kind of, what's your plan there from a front office perspective when it comes to the quarterback coming in, in the 2023 season? Nick or Cal probably said, all options are on the table right now. We obviously have a ton of draft capital. We could grab one in the draft. If there's one available when we pick that we're in love with, we could sign one in free agency. We could trade for a quarterback. We could run it back with Davis Mills. Like, I guarantee you every scenario was talked about. And I'm sure, whoever leaked this, and this all goes back to a video a month back where we talk about why our sources leaked and where is this information coming from? Like, why is this information being leaked? There's a reason. Usually it comes from an agent or a player. They want it out there. And so I just don't see a situation where the Texans would do this. And I think when you also take into consideration the fact that one of those teams that interviewed pretty much all of the same candidates we did outside of D'Amico Ryans is the Indianapolis Colts, your division rival, who is at 4. Why would you tell a candidate that's also either going to, like, the Texans can see everything on Twitter too. They can see when a candidate's going to interview with another team. Why would they tell a candidate that's going to go meet with the Colts, hey, just FYI, we're taking a quarterback at 2? That just, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know, man. It's really weird how sometimes these reports come out. So yeah, like there's really no reason for them to leak any of that information, and I find it strange that the report was leaked the way that, or was written the way that it was written. Um, Props to DJ for being able to gather information. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm trying to steer clear of the battle of the local media where I take them on and tell them that they all suck. Like, that's not my goal. And I don't think DJ sucks. I think DJ's actually really good. I wish he would do a little more in regards to like the roster and personnel and maybe some film breakdowns, because I think he's extremely smart. But these reports are just, that's all they are. Those are reports. It doesn't really help this team in any way. And also, you got to keep in mind, and the Texans makes a good point, like, or not that one, this one, smoke stirring season. Like, this is the time where GMs, owners, coaches, they all say whatever they need to say to try to potentially gain leverage entering the 2023 draft, right? Irsay posted a video or a photo of something about his relationship with the Bears has gone on since 1960, right? Like, there's just so many different things that teams are going to do leading up to the draft to start to potentially gain leverage and do what they can. And that's just, you can't take anything you hear or see seriously. You have to wait until the draft. It all changes by the draft. It can all change within the first pick. You never know what's going to happen. There are reports now that Justin Fields might be traded. There are reports that Justin Fields isn't going to be traded. Like, nobody knows anything. And nobody will know anything until April, when the draft actually happens. It's fun to talk about, and I think ultimately that is what the media is trying to do. Is it's a dead period. It's the off season. Like, they need to garner clicks and engagement. They need to be able to build a following in the off season. I think that's what the strong media members do. Is they're able to do that during the slow times of the NFL, and props to them for having to do that. Just stop with like the misinformation. I think that's like the part that probably needs to be left out. You can build a following without doing that. So I think the Texans are taking a quarterback. I don't want them to, but I do think that they're going to take a quarterback. And, this is kind of just a reach on the obvious, right? Obviously, the Texans are in the market for a quarterback. We all saw how the last 2 seasons went. There's no reason to think that they're going to give Davis Mills an opportunity to play again as a starter. So you're just going to hear so many different reports over the next, I don't know, man, it's what, the 17th? You're going to hear all sorts of reports over the next 8 weeks. I think the draft is at the end of April. So just get used to this information. Like, this stuff is going to leak or not leak, but there's going to be a ton of reports over the next 8 weeks leading up to the draft that you're going to have to just kind of go back and just understand, it's a lot of smoke screens. It's a lot of fluff. It's teams doing what they can to gain leverage in the draft to better position themselves to grab a player that they're interested in or that they want. But I wouldn't take any of it seriously until if the Bears do trade their pick, we might know before the draft actually happens. A lot of times the number 1 pick can be traded prior to the actual draft, to where that'll give everybody else some more information to talk about. I don't want the Texans trading up in the first. I don't think or to the first pick overall. I don't think it makes a ton of sense. I think they should probably just stand pat at 2 or move back from 2 to like a team like Carolina. Let's say the Colts move up 1, grab Will Levis or CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. Three other quarterbacks are on the board. Carolina is in a situation where they need a quarterback. They might sign Derek Carr, but other than that, like, they still need a quarterback for the future. Derek Carr is not going to win them a championship. So maybe Carolina wants to come up at 2. Like, there's so many different options. There's nobody in this world that knows how this draft is going to go. It's plain and simple. And it's going to take some time. You're going to hear a bunch of reports, but, kind of use your best judgment, filter through them, and form your own opinion on that. So, all right, 0 tucks given. Sounds like a trade back leverage play. They don't like the other guy. Yeah, possibly. It could be. Like, this is like one of those situations where it really could just be anything, right? Like, it could be about anything. 0 tucks given. I think Serio could be waiting a year to buy himself time. The clock really doesn't start ticking until he picks a quarterback. Yeah. I agree with you. If it was me, that's probably what I would do. I'd probably use all this draft capital and free agency to really build and field a competitive team before I roll out a rookie quarterback. But also, and this has been talked about a lot as well, this team isn't in a position where, they have other obligations outside of winning right now. I don't believe owners and GMs really believe or see that winning ultimately is going to fill seats and bring people back to NRG. Excitement, entertainment, that is a quick way to give a boost to your organization to fill that stadium back up. You got to remember, like, this team has, from the inception till last season, I think it was last season, maybe the season before, they were sold out of every single game. So last year's going from full stadium to what we saw last year, 25% at times filled stadium. They need an injection, and the quickest way to give them that, especially to build on the momentum that they already established with D'Amico Ryans being named head coach, grabbing a quarterback. Do I think that organizations should make decisions based on that? No. But at the end of the day, like, the NFL isn't. I saw this thing from like Uber Facts. I don't know if you guys follow Uber Facts, but it's pretty dope. Like, a lot of good facts. That the NFL is the only sport between the MLB, hockey, and NBA that are labeled as an entertainment industry. Like, they're in the entertainment industry. They're not in sports. And ultimately, this team is going to do whatever they can to get butts back in seats. And I don't think that should be how teams approach the draft or approach free agency. They should approach fielding the best, most competitive team possible, adding players that are extremely good at football. But at the end of the day, the guy who writes the check makes the decisions. And, I kind of thought we were past that process where Cal or Hannah was going to come in and say, hey, you have to do these things. And hopefully we still are. But I don't think that'll be I think the Texans will take a quarterback at 2 just because it's good business. It won't be to field the most competitive team. It won't be to bring winning back to Houston. And to say all that, they could do both, right? If they hit on the quarterback and they hit on everything else, it could definitely happen. So not saying that drafting a quarterback won't lead to results. It could lead to results. But it also could, hurt the longevity of the team and put us back in a situation where we need to find another quarterback in year 3 or 4. So yeah, there's tons of different things going on. It's interesting to see how it's going to go and what's going to happen. But tons of opportunity for sure. Playing the Cowpies again this year. That's cool. Always love beating the Cowboys. Oh, Ricky, what up? I just posted this on Twitter. But what is the what is the con of leaking that we are looking at a quarterback at 2? All it does is make the Bears and our pick more valuable. And the Colts are the only team heavily looking to get a quarterback right now, which will hurt them long-term, forcing them to trade to the first and trading away their future. Yeah, but that's not necessarily true. Like, the Colts are labeled as a team that need a quarterback, but you have Atlanta. You have, who knows what Seattle's going to do with Geno Smith. The Lions could shock everybody and be all in on getting a younger quarterback to sit behind Jared Goff in the remaining years of his contract. The Panthers are in need of a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. The Commanders don't have a quarterback. Like, there are tons of teams that don't have a quarterback that could potentially move up. It's not just the Colts. Colts are the easiest to move up because of where they sit in the draft at 4, but outside of that, there are plenty of teams that need a quarterback, and we've seen it plenty of times where teams will give up a haul to go up. Will they go up to 1? I'm not sure. Like, that's a big ask, but maybe they go up to 2. Maybe they go up to 3. Honestly, if I'm looking at this draft right now, I think the prime trade target is actually 3 with Arizona. Arizona's in a spot where they're going to need to add talent to their roster. They are not in a good spot from a roster perspective. And I think 3 is a heavy target for a lot of teams to trade up and grab a quarterback. Let's say, for example, the Bears don't trade, grab Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. Texans take the top quarterback on the board in their opinion. And now you have Arizona at 3. That's a target that I think you'll probably see a trade is 3 with Arizona. But we'll have to see. How many quarterbacks in the draft? There's quite a bit. There's a couple guys that are late around that are interesting targets. Some people have them ranked, in the end of the first, early second. Tanner McKee from Stanford, Hendon Hooker from Tennessee, Jaron Lee from BYU. There's a couple late round flyers, but outside of that, you have the top 4 right now, at least is how it seems. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, and Anthony Richardson. And then you have Hendon Hooker, Tanner McKee, and Jaron. I think I forgot his last name. The quarterback from BYU. So there's definitely, there's some quarterbacks. We'll have to wait and see where they go. Texans have the 33rd pick overall. Would be interesting to see if they wait until, the second round and grab Hendon Hooker, or even Tanner McKee, go the same route that Davis Mills, and take a Stanford quarterback, pro ready system. So we'll see. There's tons of options. 0 tucks given. That's the point. It creates a bidding war for the first or second pick, not the Colts, which is good. Or not just the Colts. Yeah, absolutely. No, we don't play Dallas this year. We play them every 4 years. Oh, okay. I was confused by the Cow Pies again this year. All right. Well, look, with that being said, I got 6 minutes till I got to get to work. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I know it was only 25 minutes. Tomorrow's going to be an amazing show. I have a scout on that has watched the film, broke down the film for the 2023 quarterback class. One of my friends, somebody that I talked to on Twitter quite a bit, he was on the show very early on, if anybody remembers, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, was before we took Deshaun Watson. So it's going to be fun. This will be a good one. And make sure you guys have your notifications on for next week or for tomorrow at 8:30. We'll be live. We'll be talking about the draft and what should happen and what the Texans could do. We'll get some good film breakdown from this person, and it'll be a ton of fun. So make sure you guys have notifications on. Make sure you tell your friends to tell a friend to like, subscribe, and turn noties on for Texans Unfiltered. Going to continue to pump out some content for you guys. Appreciate everybody that's here. Appreciate all the comments, and I look forward to talking to you guys tomorrow morning.